Hello, and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday evening. Thank you guys for choosing to start the weekend here with Break the Cycle. You know, I always appreciate your guys' constant viewership. It means a lot to my family and I. But we got a great, awesome, amazing show for you guys tonight. Let's start off with sponsors. Of course, we have toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great custom Break the Cycle sundowning synthwave dark camo hoodie that I'm wearing tonight by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. Or you can join the Patreon Subscribe Star or become a member of the YouTube channel under all of my videos by hitting join, where you can get into a private Discord server and get all of his new gear up to 2 weeks early at like a 30% discount. So if you're one of the smaller tiered paying members of the show, it really pays for itself if you're buying Top Lobster gear. Good stuff. Do it if you can. And of course, executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today, see what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at, much cheaper and much more efficiently. Guys, seriously, if you own a business, go check them out right after the show, anthemplanning.com. They're going to save you a headache, at least, but definitely probably some money too. So go check them out. I'm going to have some new sponsors coming up soon. I'm pretty excited about that, including one that's very near and dear to my heart. So watch out for that. You guys will be getting emails and stuff if you signed up for the email list. Also, I got my good friend Josh's book, Second Story Work, is going to be coming out in PDF form for all people who sign up on the email list. So if you go to my link tree on Twitter and sign up for the emails, you're going to get a free book, like a really cool book. And obviously, we put out at least weekly emails. I know we lagged a couple weeks here and there, but mostly weekly emails, updates, all kinds of stuff on shows coming up. So go check that out if you can. Guys, like I said, we got a great show for you tonight. I'm very, very excited. Libertarian Twitter can be a little virulent sometimes. It is a little crazy. And I think one of the biggest debates online right now, sans today, where we're all arguing about the property rights of people who want to enforce state tyranny on us. I think one of the biggest ones that have been going around for quite a few months is this libertarian, post-libertarian, or Praxian, as I was told to call it, ideology kind of argument. And I feel like people keep choosing sides, but I love people on both sides. There's even a couple Lolberts that I like who are working in certain cities where it's like they kind of got to be a little Lolbertish. But these guys are some of my favorite people. So I figured I'd bring them on and we talk about it more and see if we can clear some of this stuff up. But of course, my first guest is the host of Free Man Beyond the Wall and one of the most base motherfuckers you know, Peter R. Quinones. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you, Josh?
I can't complain, man. Thanks so much for coming on. And of course, second is the host of the Counterflow podcast with Buck Johnson. It is Mr. Buck Johnson. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. Are you saying there's very fine people on both sides?
There's very fine people on both sides, man. And both sides don't always send their best, but sometimes they do.
Yep. So far, just us.
Yeah. And of course, my last but not least, the host of Popular Liberty, Mr. Andrew. Sir, how are you doing?
Good. I'm glad to be here. By the way, I just want to say before we begin, I really love truckers. Y'all are the best drivers on the road, and I know I don't have to worry about any of you, cutting me off. So
I'm not a fucking trucker. You know that, right?
Really?
No, I'm not. No. Top Lobster's the trucker, man. I'm a critical facilities engineer. I'm the one who keeps the data centers up and running that let your credit card swipe.
For some reason I thought you were a trucker.
No. I'm a data center guy who's currently looking at.
It's just, you throw a dart and you hit a trucker. So in Liberty space,
I've had lots of truckers on the show. So, I get the mix up. I've had Reed on, I've had Q on, and Top Lobster several times. So I get it, man. But
by the way, freaking Top Lobster, great shirt.
Well, yeah, is that the "It's Not You, It's Me" shirt?
Yep, for Texas.
Oh, for Texas. Gotcha. Are you? Because I know he's got one version that's got New York on it, and I love that's my favorite one. That one in California, they're amazing because those states just suck. As a California expat, I know how bad those two states suck, man. But
good job moving.
Yeah. Now I'm in the frozen tundra.
It takes a lot of courage to move your entire family across country.
Well, actually, I moved here and started the family, if you can believe that.
Even better.
Yeah, I've told the story on the show so many times, but I had a daughter who didn't live with me. She was older, teenager, 15. And when I moved here, my fiance had 2 kids. Then she got pregnant with our son, who's almost 1 now. Then we got custody of my daughter, who was pregnant when we went to pick her up, and her 2 siblings that I did not biologically make. So it was like in the span of a year, we had 7 kids. Wild.
Nice.
Absolutely wild.
This dude is an amazing conservative.
Dude, I know people, it's funny because we have this abortion debate all the time. People are like, what are you gonna go adopt kids that aren't your own? I'm like, I got 2 of them already. You know what I mean? I'll take more, no big deal. What's up, man? Thanks, Quest Fanny, for the $5 super chat. He said, trucker rhymes with motherfucker. Understandable mistakes. True. It's true. It's very true. So let's talk a little bit about this Praxian thing. Okay. It's like, so we have this constant argument, and it seems to be, it's not even like Lolberts that are arguing with you guys all the time. Sometimes it's really good libertarians, even some paleos that I know. But you guys come from a paleo side of the libertarian sphere for sure. I know Buck and Pete for sure. I know a little less about you, Andrew, but I've sat down and talked with both of these guys quite a bit. But I came from a neocon perspective to Ron Paul libertarian, and then I'm much more paleo now than I was even when I worked on Ron Paul's
7
campaign.
kids, no kids.
Yeah, I just the last 2 years have taken me, and I've said it on the show 100 times, but the last 2 years have taken me from being, I really want to educate you, to get the fuck out of my way or else. Like that's kind of what happened in my progression over this farce that we're living through.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. So I understand like, things change and people start kind of figuring out other stuff. And we've tried to quietly and peacefully talk to people and educate them and on, property rights and all this stuff. But it's come to a point now where it's like the state is using businesses to enforce their tyranny on us. And it's there's no more like time to really talk about these things. You know what I mean? Like we had a lot of time, and now the tyranny is flying way over the speed limit. And it's insane, man. But Buck, let's start with you, man. Why don't you kind of give me you're going to be running for office in Texas there, right?
It's being explored.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's how you run for office. You always start an exploratory committee first. I get it. I know.
Yeah.
But so you guys have kind of railed against party libertarians, especially recently. And I know you've talked about running as a Republican, but what is it, with the party libertarians, what do you see as the big hang up with them?
My own experience tells me what I know for the most part, and this isn't a knock on specific people that I've met and become friends with through the years. There's people that I like in the Libertarian Party, but I would say my issue generally is not with the people in the party so much, like the ones I know, but the party itself has just done nothing. I joined it in 2000, and when I went back in 2016, I believe, to try to be a delegate for Jacob Hornberger. So I guess it was 2015 as that ball started getting rolling. Lo and behold, I looked around, and it was the same people. They were at the same meetings from at that point 15 years ago, and they had done nothing. And so it was a little bit disheartening, and I kind of rolled with it for a bit. And then at some point, and to correct it really quick, I don't know that I would run as a Republican here. I don't know at a local level that I will need a political party at all.
It's probably nonpartisan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not a political party guy, and I was soiled basically on that because of the Libertarian Party. And then as I've done the podcast through the years and been in touch with more people on the legitimate right, you realize that the Libertarian Party itself is looked at as a negative. And that's not because it's going to screw up somebody's race, local race or something, or going to spoil something. It's because generally it's looked at as a libertine institution that's full of kind of, Murray Rothbard said some of this in the 90s, kind of losers, to be honest. And
Space Cadets was the one, like the article he put out in like 1979.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it just has a feeling that I don't want to be a part of, and more power to them. I get support from them. And like I said, the people I know personally that are, I mainly for the most part know the people in the LPMC that are involved in the LP, and those folks for the most part have been fine and very supportive of me. It's just the Libertarian Party at large. It's just not for me.
Sure. And you've been a member, I mean, several times over the last decade, and Pete as well. You've been a member once or twice, right?
2008, and I mean, yeah, a couple times. Came back in 2017, and I think I've renewed every year since 2017. Even this year, I even joined when I moved here to Ohio. I joined the Ohio LP.
You guys actually, surprisingly enough, the Ohio LP has some pretty base people in it, but it's
they do
at large. It's a tough party, dude. It is. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I sat on a panel with you about basically broadcasting liberty to people at the Georgia Libertarian Party convention. It was great. We had a good time. It was you and I and who was the other one?
Shane, was it Shane? No, it was Shane's. It was Shane's. Who was that?
Why do I always forget? I know who it is, dude.
I suck.
It was a good panel, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Banks.
It was a lot of fun.
Banks Weiss.
Yeah, it was Banks.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
I just remembered that. Yeah, that was a good panel, man. And you seemed pretty optimistic about the Libertarian Party, but now it seems like there's half the party you just want to physically fight, dude.
Well, I mean, it just doesn't seem like, if I'm going to get into politics, I want to get into politics to win.
Sure.
And the Libertarian Party, I mean, look at what you have to sign, click the box on in order to join. That you non-aggression for political or personal gains. I understand the personal gains. I mean, if you're going to get into politics, it's about using force. It's about using power. And power is sometimes going to be force, and force doesn't have to be violence, but it can be using thumb screws sometimes on people.
Sure.
And I just don't see anybody in the Libertarian Party doesn't seem to want to do that. And I mean, the leftist influence that has gone into the party definitely is something of a concern. Is a concern of mine. But I mean, I've even abandoned that. It's just the fact that
do you want to crush the anti-fascist mob in the Libertarian Party?
Yeah, seriously though, but everywhere. But the fact that they're not willing to do what needs to be done politically in order to get ahead is why. I mean, I'm just over the last 20 months. It's like, look, I mean, how do we fight this?
Sure.
I mean, I think that really Hoppe gave us the blueprint 24 years ago, and I know some people started using it back then. Yeah, I think the Free State Project probably is the closest thing. I think that it would need to be broken down smaller, and I've actually talked to Jeremy Coughlin about that, and he also agrees too, and he's sitting on the board of the Free State Project.
Sure.
But I love the Mises Caucus. I love the idea of the Mises Caucus. It's that LP at the front of it, sure, which has come to turn me off. And
you were was that you going to almost to blows with Sterling Reese online recently? That was you, right?
I thought that he was still. See, I thought he was still representative of the Mises Caucus.
I haven't seen him do anything with the caucus in years.
Yeah, like Heist texted me and he's like, he hasn't had anything to do with the caucus in like 3 years, and I'm like, well, he's misrepresenting, and it's. I had a conversation with a couple people afterwards, and I think he meant to do that. I think he might be out there trying to damage the Mises Caucus by having in his profile that he's a founding member of the Mises Caucus and all this, and then attacking people knowing that they might use that. When I get in a fight with someone, I'm going to use anything.
Sure.
I'm going to pick up anything, hit him with a brick if I can find it. So I went to that, and then as soon as Heist told me that, I was like, "Oh fuck!" and I started deleting shit.
Right, right.
I'm like, I fucked up.
Yeah, Sterling.
I can admit when I'm wrong.
Oh, but even when Sterling was like in the Mises Caucus, I mean, he's always been a very brash dude. That's kind of how he talks to people, and so I was actually watching that whole exchange, going, "Holy shit, this is gonna be a wild one." That's Pete Quinones. This is gonna be rough. But it was fun to watch. I had a good time. Andrew, tell me, have you ever been a member of the Libertarian Party? Is that something that you've been?
Actually, I was.
Were you?
When I invented the anti-tax, the first people I took it to were, I'm not going to say their names, but you would recognize them as extremely high up in the party. And these were, it was a
I just want to be clear.
wife.
There's only like 5 members that are higher up in the party than me. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know the ones, and I took it to a husband and wife couple, and for over dinner, they told me about all the a lot of stuff I had no idea about with the LP and how dysfunctional, to say the very least, that it was. And I realized very quickly that, if I want to get my anti-tax through, it's not going to be through the LP. These people have terrible leadership, and they're a very dysfunctional party. And I'm happy that the Mises Caucus is doing what it's doing, and cleaning that out, to say the very least. And hopefully you guys will install better leadership. And like I said to Dave Smith, I would love to have the Mises Caucus help out with the installation part of the anti-tax. Obviously they cannot help with the lobbying part of the anti-tax because, that L next to their name is going to be kryptonite. Sure. But, if you want to help, go at the city council level and help us install it, we're going to make taxation obsolete. And you will, in 20 years, your children, will grow up in a world or in an America that does not have taxation.
Sure. Top Lobster, thanks for the $5 super chat, and Mark Metz too, man. But Top Lobster said it's been fun watching Josh get radicalized more over the course of this show. Now to get him on the anti-tax. So I don't know anything about the anti-tax, man. Why don't you explain that to me? What's going on there?
Real short is that it's basically a sovereign wealth fund, or 10,000 of them at the local level. There's about 19,500 local municipalities in the United States, and the idea of the anti-tax is that you can create a sovereign wealth fund at the local level in each and every single one of the 19,500 municipalities. And you can do that using the reserves of that. So typically a local government will have about 8 to 14 months of taxes on hand that sit in the bank account year to year, gathering inflation, not interest. And, my idea is let's just take those reserves. Those are taxes that have already been collected, put it into a professionally managed portfolio that's highly diversified. So it'll be very resistant to crashes, resistant to the business cycle, et cetera, et cetera. And let's, use that to create a passive income fund that will grow over time and eventually make the need for direct taxation to be obsolete. And if you want to make this, port this up to a state and federal level, what you would do is you would lobby the state and federal governments to put direct taxes on your local anti-tax fund, which will be substituted for your any state income taxes, your federal income taxes, your corporate income taxes, any state property taxes, your sales taxes, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is going to be obsoleted.
Nice. Dude.
And so, yeah, it's like we're not going to abolish taxation. We're going to make it obsolete technology. We've been doing it one way for 6,000 years, and now we have a better solution.
Yeah, and it won't require the butt of a gun be pointed
exactly.
At. So
your kids are going to grow up in a world without taxation.
Yeah, that'd be
not
great.
A world, but at least in America.
You're killing me today with the sleeveless shirt, man. You're like evil John Hudak today, man. I love it.
Well, I'm the good guy. He's not the good guy. He's a faggot.
You know the meme that keeps going around, like evil Josh Smith says, "No, I won't have any more kids." Like those. You're like the anti Hudak today. I like it. I support it, man.
He's a Hudak with arms.
Yeah. Oh shit. He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry. Hudak's gonna cry into his pillow about that tonight. You know that, right?
Hudak is a skinny little faggot. He's a sloppy vagina.
He's something else. That guy. He's actually, dude. He's actually can lift really heavy. He like competes and shit. But he's like 5 foot nothing and like pretty small. So, so another thing that you talk quite about, you're like the creator of, is the Archotropism, right? Or did I say that fucking? Did I say it wrong again? I said it right that time. Yeah, it's not anarchotropism. In case you guys were wondering.
God, do I wish it was.
Can you lay that out in a brief way for me?
All right, so I want to go ahead and thank Buck and P for giving me the next 50 minutes to monologue.
Oh, Jesus.
But Archotropism, this is the process by which a state grows its power in scale and scope by extracting order from chaos. This is what drives all of their power grabs. So if you think 9/11, they got the the Patriot Act out of that, and two disastrous foreign wars. 9/11, they got the Baker bailouts and the easy monetary policy, and COVID need no explanation. Basically, every time there's chaos, and this is why they're incentivized to sow chaos in order to be the ones to say, hey, they're like the arsonist firefighter. This is their incentive system. Archotropism is the praxeology that tells us how and why this system works. So this is sociopathic economics.
Sure. So when you say, it's I'm kind of harking back to this when you talk about the arsonist firefighter, right? I immediately am drawn kind of to the broken window fallacy, right? And so is this kind of like building off of that, like people that they create?
No, well, what it is that this is how they derive more power. Every single time that there's chaos out there, this is an excuse for them to power grab.
Sure. And
you see this all throughout human history, where crisis leads to power grab, and in the name of like restoring order.
Right. And I think one of the big problems is that, like 90% of the population doesn't give a shit about history whatsoever. They don't pay attention to it. They don't understand it. So it's always a new thing to them to see that happening. But we're dealing with that a lot during COVID. Obviously, it's something you brought it up. All of you guys, I think everyone on the show has had COVID, and we've all survived it.
I tried. I tried my hardest to get it.
Well, I think some people just can't get it, dude. God.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it twice.
I just had the flu.
I'm sure.
I literally got the flu. I mean, it was like, like a real flu. It was like when I had COVID, I like lost taste and smell for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
I got the flu and I kicked it in like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
I got the regular flu and 2 colds, and I couldn't catch COVID. Either variant. It's like I tried my best. It's like short of going in and French kissing the COVID patients, but I didn't try that. But I tried everything.
I think you should try it. I think you should try it that way. I think you should walk into the COVID ward and just start French kissing people.
I know. I had to get the jab, so it doesn't matter now.
Oh fuck! They're really pressuring me, man, real hard. So that I actually kind of want to get into this. Okay, so Praxian or post-libertarian or whatever. Obviously, you guys are coming from a place during this time that we're living through, this era, that we have to start fighting back. These people are our enemies. The people who are basically enforcing the state tyranny, whether it's through private business or normal people, whatever it is, local state politicians. These people are our enemies, and we have to fight back. And we, it's kind of, I think you and Dave Smith kind of share a version of this, you're living in Ancapistan in your head kind of thing. Pete, I mean, how far should we go, man? How far should we go away, to fight this stuff?
Well, like when I hear people say like, well, we have to be consistent and we have to, be non-political until it's time to pick up guns. I mean, I've literally heard people say that on podcasts. Says, okay, well, there's going to be a point where it gets so bad that you can pick up guns. Well, I mean, if you have to pick up guns, you've already lost. So the way I look at it is, sure, political force and violence may need to be used. But if you're using it and the general public does not view you as legitimately using it, then you're just going to be called a white supremacist, a Branch Davidian, Randy Weaver, and they're just going to kill you and they're going to annihilate you. But if you use politics and if you use local politics and you get your town, you get a couple people elected who are willing to, one of the things Andrew talks about is the anti-tax, getting the anti-tax. Well, the first thing in all of that is how do you get elected? I mean, if I was running, I would be like anti-COVID lockdowns, pro-gun. I mean, I would just run directly from the right. And then if you rally that kind of support in a town and you have influence with the police force and everything, then you have a police force, you have a town government and a police force is like, okay, if there are federal mandates or state mandates and they try and come here, we're going to say no. well, that's government. It's a local government, but it's still legitimate. It's still a legitimate use of force to fight this. Just getting together a bunch of guys to kidnap the governor of Michigan, even though I think 60% of them were friggin' feds and everything like that.
I think you're being conservative there.
Yeah. I mean, but if your town council is like, okay, we're going to get together, we are going to instruct the police department, you don't let anybody across that line to come in here. That is seen in the public as legitimate.
Right.
And I think that's one way that if it comes to it and you have to use force, seems to me that's probably the best way to do it.
Sure. And I made this argument today. I was arguing with Ace, who I love Ace to death. I think Ace is extremely consistent philosophically, and he also understands that at some point maybe some people are not going to be able to be consistent philosophically. So he's a good person to have these thought and philosophy conversations with and get that direct, honest answer. But also, like I said, he's good because he's not going to like berate you completely for he understands that at some point you might have to provide for your family of 9. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what it's coming to. And today somebody's like, "Oh, you're making the encirclement argument." Where like people come together and encircle a resource and don't let you access it. I'm like, but they're literally encircling the entire nation right now. That's what they're doing, and they're using private businesses to enforce their encirclement. You get this experimental medical procedure done, or you can't go to the grocery store and provide for your family. You can't do this. You can't go to the I mean, it's going to come down to like it is in the UK. You can't go to the hospital. You can't go to the hospital. You know what I mean? You're having a heart attack. Sorry, are you vaccinated? Can I see your vax card? If not, you can't come in and get treatment for. This is what we're coming to, and it's becoming an encirclement where they are denying you vital resources that you in any other situation you'd at least have the opportunity and the right to buy. If somebody will trade with you, but at what point does it become? At what point does the state, the enforcers of the state, become just as bad as the state? I don't know the answer to that question. What do you think, Buck?
When at what point do they become as bad as the state?
If people keep saying, well, that's their private property, it's their private property, it's their private property. I get it because I'm a private property rights guy. I mean, I think that's the most consistent right there is. I think it's a great, being coming from Hoppe now, but from Rothbard prior to Hoppe, property rights were the most important right. And so I get that argument, but at what point does people using their private property to restrict you from vital resources that you need to provide for your family, does it become that they're just as bad as the state?
Well, the minute they side with the regime, and they're doing that because they're being made to by the regime. So there is a part of it in certain blue areas, I understand, where it's just their culture that they want to be with the regime, and so they'll screw you guys out of this or that. But I think we're coming to an age, unfortunately, where when Pete said, these people will say, well, when it comes to it, I'll just pick up my gun. When they come for the gun, they don't have to come for your guns anymore. They don't have to do that. They can shut you off from your bank account. They can make it illegal for you to work at places. They can make it illegal for you to shop at places. What's a gun going to do for you? And so at some point, you have to understand we are living in a society that's governed by a government that uses force. I'd prefer to use force for good. And if it means banning vaccine mandates in a state, I'm all for it. And if that's not principled, I'm okay with that. And if it violates the NAP, I'm okay with that too. If your principles always end up getting you on the losing side of a battle, then I'll just change principles.
Right. So I understand that, being a guy who like really enjoys principles and having the conversations, I've obviously become a lot more radicalized over the last 2 years.
If you haven't, someone asked me that today. Why do you think? And I'm like, if the only things I can come up with sound like straw men, like you've lived at home this whole time and it hasn't hit you. You're wealthy. you know,
Right.
and it hasn't hit you. You've lived in Florida, you've lived in Texas, you've lived in South Dakota. You don't understand what people were going through. I mean, I was in Atlanta and Kemp ended the lockdowns, but I was in Atlanta. Atlanta was like, screw this guy. We're going to do what we want. And Atlanta's just completely blue. And that's why I'm in friggin' that's 32 degrees in Ohio right now, you know, because it's why would I stay there? I mean,
Welcome to the Midwest, buddy.
yeah, I do not know. I do not understand how libertarians and people who've studied tyranny and studied totalitarianism. I think Vin Armani made a great point. Like in February, he said, we've basically, we don't have the generation that has actually seen totalitarianism and gone to fight it is gone. So maybe we just don't recognize it because it's something that we haven't seen. But I mean, when I was at Tom Woods 2000, I talked to a guy who grew up in the Soviet Union, and he's like, this is border. We're going towards totalitarianism. And I asked him this question. I said, do you think communism should be allowed to be taught in this country? And he's like, are you insane? It's like, why would you allow that? You crush it as soon as somebody starts talking about it. And I was just like, I like this guy.
Mhm.
Gotta buy this guy a drink. I mean, what are we doing?
Sure.
Are we nuts?
No, and I agree. And like I said, I see both sides of the argument, and I think there's still a lot of places where we can work together with all types of liberty people. I think that this COVID issue is just going to be one of those issues where we're not going to be able to work with some people on, the issue at hand, at least, which is sad to me because this is literally the greatest tyranny of our generation. 100%.
Yeah.
To me, that's like saying that there's libertarians that can't agree with you on war.
Right.
Because until this, that was the big deal for us. It still is to an extent, but this is like the issue of our entire lives. And so if there's libertarians that choose to be bad and weak on this and just say, well, it's their right to just fuck the entire society over, and I know they're going to say that's a straw man, but at some point, if you're okay with every store and organization in your entire city choosing to side with the regime and shutting you out, I mean, it sounds like, there's a line in a movie. Where's that guy going? Oh, he's off going to write his hit song, All Alone in My Principles, by himself in a room. You'll have nothing.
Right.
So at some point you got to deal with reality. And unfortunately, like I said, we're in a system that's governed by force. Do we like that? I mean, I'd rather not be the case, but it is the case. And so if you have to use force to fight force, that's what I'm all for that.
True.
And if you take one look at Australia, they're not even going to leave you alone in your room. Like Australia is what's coming next. It's like they have camps that, some people say, oh, we're not going to have FEMA camps here, or we're not going to have genocide. They're already talking about the genocide. They're just calling it climate change.
Right.
And, if you can't see this coming and you can't say, I'm ready to respond with force, I see the writing on the wall. It's like, I don't know what to say to you. You cannot, you are not going to be convinced until the gun's in your face. And by then it's too late. And
I was saying I'm more than perfectly happy to trade the entire state of California for all the construction workers that showed a penchant for fist fighting police in the streets in Australia. I'll trade the whole state.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a no brainer, but I came from I came to libertarianism through Christianity. It was a strange route where I was always kind of temperamentally libertarian, I had a very, very strong knowledge of the Bible. And one thing that's I've really kept with me is that good trees bear good fruit and bad trees bear bad fruit. So if your ideology is constantly giving you the results of, basically bad fruit, where you're saying, okay, I'm not allowed to respond to tyranny. I'm not allowed to respond to private statism, which is not an oxymoron, as we've found out. We call it fascism now. And if you're not allowed to respond to fascism, because it's technically private property, and you're not allowed to respond to that with force, is like, this is not what you're doing something wrong. Something's wrong with your ideology, or you're interpreting your own ideology wrong. I seem to prefer. I think the latter is probably correct. That hey, I see this. All of this stuff that's happening right now. I see this as an aggression. If you're helping out the state, as far as I'm concerned, you're complicit in all of their aggression. So, yeah, I'm happy to use whatever force lawful to fight back. And if that means I have to get elected or get other people elected to a local government in order to be able to fight that battle lawfully, then so be it.
I'm perfectly fine with unlawful, but only in Minecraft, guys. Only in Minecraft. Warren Dent, $2 super chat. Was great meeting Josh and Pete at Tom Woods 2000. It was indeed, sir. Thank you so much for hanging out. I wish I got more time there, dude. I was only there for like an hour and a half or 2 hours or something. But I had 7 kids waiting for me in the hotel room at Disney World.
I saw you for like 5 minutes, and I didn't realize that you had like a couple nights before that did a whole rant about how much you hated post-libertarians.
Yeah, that's totally.
We could have had a talk.
That's totally what I did. I totally went on a rant about how much I hate post-libertarians. You caught me, dude. Totally. Except
people were telling me that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've never went on a rant about how I hate post-libertarians at all. I did.
Yeah,
I did say that I don't like Vin. I'm not a big fan of Vin. I've said that several times.
He's not a post-libertarian. He's an agorist.
He's not part of our crew.
I'm not a big fan of Vin. I do like Matt Erickson. I think he's pretty cool. He has some great conversations. I'd love to have him on the show too. In fact, when I was thinking about doing this show, I thought about bringing him on too. But having 5 is it's a lot. When I did my 100th episode with like Dave and Robbie and fucking all those people, I was just like, oh my God. I had Phil on there and Maj Touré, and it was like all at once. It was a lot, dude. But it was, it gets a little mucky over 4 people on a live stream for sure. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. I think I had in the 2 hours I was there, I probably got like 6 double shots of whiskey, and fucking people kept smoking me out, and I was like, okay, I got to get home because we got to go to Universal Studios at like 7:00 in the morning the next morning. Like,
good choice.
Yeah,
it was flowing. It was flowing hard that night too.
Yeah, people were having a lot of fun, man. Quest Fanning, thanks for the $5 super chase. A reminder of the 6 times Osha's emergency powers were fought in court. Only once did the courts allow them to stay fully intact. I mean, do you think? So here's my concern: is they're pushing all this shit through so quickly, right? That by the time any of this goes to court and is fought in court, it will be far, far, far too late for people like me who are resisting it at every chance I can. But I have 7 kids I got to provide for, and it's either I have to take their vaccine to keep my job, or I'm going to start eating my neighbor's groceries. You know what I mean? Like that's really where I'm being forced to at this point. Does that make me a communist? Okay, well, fine. Fuck you. I'm a communist. I don't know, but I'm just saying that at some point they're gonna drive a man who has to provide for 9 people. Don't forget, I'm the sole provider for 9 people. You're going to drive me to have nothing left. You know what I mean? And then what do you expect from me?
Right.
I don't know.
That's why good government using force to fight it works.
Right.
And it should. Well, we'll see if it works. I hope it does. I interviewed Anthony Sabatini today, who is in Florida. He's a rep out of there. He put out a tweet: no more defense. We need offense. Issuing statements in lawsuits is not enough. Florida and every Republican state must nullify Biden's Osha vaccine mandate now. And this is my favorite part. Any federal agent implementing them in our state must be arrested on the spot and prosecuted under law. I would go further, but that's a good one.
Yeah,
I would go further with that last part.
Yeah, me too. So you saw the
a couple feet outside the into Alabama, he would be escorted to.
We also have that legislation coming out that's getting signed by a lot of people now. I think from the rep from Arizona about abolishing the OSHA completely. Which I know
Massey signed on to that too.
Did he? I was hoping he was. I know people were when I shared it, people were like tagging him in it, like, "What's going on, dude?" So I was hoping that he would. Of course, that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. And here's my biggest concern is that. So government agencies don't ever abolish themselves, right? If they're shitty, they just create an oversight committee, and then that oversight committee also gets shitty. That's how it works. That's that's the endless cycle of committees through the government. If that got teeth and we got rid of OSHA, I mean, what do you think? What do you think the federal government would do at that point, man? Anybody?
I don't know, man. It would. I don't see it happening.
No.
I think if you want to get rid of OSHA, you're basically going to have to nullify them out of your state or out of your area. You're just going to have to say OSHA doesn't exist here anymore.
Yes.
Come and get us.
Right. Ditto the FBI.
It's FBI, ATF, DEA,
all of them.
It's like you're done. We're done with you.
Persona non grata. You're not welcome here.
Do you think we'll have another civil war if states decide to start seceding?
Not if I can help it.
No,
I don't think so. I think
they don't have the budget. They don't even have the budget to like. The DEA doesn't have the budget to like friggin' police all of the dispensaries in Los Angeles.
Sure.
Right.
What are they going to do? And do you really think that like the government, like, I know that there are a lot more leftists in the military now than most people would think.
Right.
I have family in the military, and you're like, and they're telling me like, oh, holy shit. Well, my family in the military is a freaking communist, right. So it's like he tells me things,
and that's really only started being like more common over the last decade, man. Because even when I was in, everybody in there was like hardcore, like righty, like patriot. They didn't give a fuck about the woke culture at all. You know what I mean? It's only really happened over the last decade, man.
But that also tells me something too. If they're in there, it's a jobs program for them. Right. I mean, do they really want to turn guns on their neighbors and their family? And I don't think they want that. And I think the military has a lot more power than they really understand if they were to start saying no. The leaders in the field are the ones who give the orders. I mean, if orders start coming down from on high and they go, no, we're not following those.
Right.
Be real interesting to see what happens, because who goes in there to stop?
Nobody goes into the military wanting to shoot people that want to be free in their own country. I mean, that's just not. It's not a common theme amongst American soldiers. That's for sure.
And I think all of us are pretty soured on the state in general, but I don't even think that we could imagine, say Texas votes to secede or something. Could you really imagine the U.S. military, rank and file, marching through Dallas trying to shoot people? I mean,
it'd be really
the wrong
terrible.
State to do that in.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that too in Texas for sure. But it's also, I mean, it would have a long lasting effect on the way this country is seen around the world for at least a century, at minimum. It's
if the country survived it. I mean,
right.
it would split up. I mean, the splitting up is already happening by default. Yeah. I think that I had Charles Haywood on my show, and he called it a sifting. You're starting to see a sifting.
Sure.
And now you're going to see it's going to break up, and it's going to break up in my lifetime. I'm really, unless I die within the next 5 years.
God, I hope so.
But I think that
not the dying part, the splitting up part. That was a very horribly timed. God, I hope so, dude. Very horrible.
Someone's gonna cut that part out.
Yeah.
But but no, I mean, I honestly believe that I'm going to see a state secede, something, part of a state secede in my lifetime. And and when I say lifetime, in the next 10 years.
Well, I think New Hampshire's working on it, dude. Like for real.
I hope they do it. They
have legislation on the table already. I mean, legit.
I have an episode coming out tomorrow with Jeremy Kaufman, and that's all we talk about. Jeremy's someone that I respect. We have a lot in common. Our thinking is aligned. We read a lot of the same people that most libertarians don't read. And it took me to talk to him to convince me, the Free State Project's going to work.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and I would love to move to New Hampshire and be a part of the Free State Project. If it wasn't for my my fiance's 2 daughters' dad that live here in Iowa, I probably might.
Property's so expensive.
Yeah,
I've looked at houses before, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I love Jeremy to death. Jeremy made a post recently on Twitter that was one of the most based posts I've ever seen in my life. He said, no, dudes, there's no need for libertarians to violate, violate the private property principles or something. They do have the right, but we should all take the libertarian stance of shooting OSHA workers on site on your property. I was like, holy shit, dude. Whoa, okay, based. I'll share that. That's fine. That's a fun one. In Minecraft, he means, though, of course, in case YouTube's looking. I did monetize this video like an idiot, too. It's going to be great. I still have not had
I know that feeling.
I still have not had a video pulled, or I have a couple demonetized. I think one of my episodes with you is demonetized, but none of them have been pulled.
Oh, I've had them pulled.
I go pretty hard, man. I don't know. I think maybe it's just because I don't have as many subscriptions and views as some people, but I've been really lucky. Magoo, thanks for the $5 super chat. He said it was a highlight for me to meet Pete at the brewery in ATL this summer. Fucking great dude.
That was awesome.
Kyle Matovic, sick. I don't want to say that wrong. I'll just call you Comrade. Sounds like a Comrade name. $2 super chat. He said, talk to Pete about triggering Jack Lloyd. Okay. So wait, I do want to talk a little bit about it. So I'm good friends with Jack, and that was another one that I watched too. I was dying laughing, dude. Because he's another one of those guys that's like going to be he's going to be really consistent on the boxcar. I know that. You know what I mean? But what was that all about, dude? Where did that start from?
Oh, it was just, I said when I was interviewing Mark Claire recently, we were talking about messaging, and I was like, I think we're past the time that we post pictures of the food that we're eating and our girlfriends on Facebook, and maybe no one has ever criticized him before. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I get criticized all the time.
Sure.
And I choose, all the time. And sometimes I'll go back. Most of the times I just ignore it, block, and keep going or whatever and everything. Sterling Reese was obviously an example. I didn't, but I get 10 or 20 people a day that I'm just blocking because they're coming at me for any reason. And he did not like that at all. And he made a tweet talking about in a thread recently that Tho started, and Dave Smith came in, and it was the day after, it was Wednesday, the day after the elections and everything. And he I don't know who he was responding to. I have it on my phone. I can look it up real quick. But he made allusions to the fact that everybody is enjoying the libertarian culture that he created.
Oh.
And I went, first of all, libertarian isn't a culture. You're not going to have libertarianism unless you're not going to have a libertarian society unless there's a culture that is not distinctly libertarian, but will only cause it to. I mean, you've been reading Hoppe lately. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yes. There is no libertarian culture. So I was like, what are you talking about? Facebook? What the hell's going on here? And it was just back and forth. And then I guess he tried to get me and Scott fighting with each other. He's like, well, no one would even know who your name. You're riding Scott's coattails and everything. And that's when I checked out of the conversation, and Kyle Anzalone jumped in, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, you don't know anything about what goes on at the Libertarian Institute and like that. And then Jack deleted the tweet, but screenshots are forever.
Sure.
And
the list comes for all.
And that's when he blocked me, and then blocked me on Facebook, kicked me out of groups on Facebook, and then has been having a schizo meltdown for the last 48 hours, making memes and posting memes. I mean, one of them was me puking at a libertarian event, everything, which I've never done. But who doesn't get drunk at libertarian events? What
Literally
is it?
Everybody.
I was going to say, who doesn't puke at them?
Yeah.
Not for being drunk, though.
I watched a guy in your state party at the Libertarian Party of Ohio at their where was that at? What's the capital of Ohio again?
Columbus.
No, yeah, maybe it was Columbus. I don't know. But
is it Columbus? I don't know.
No, but maybe fuck, dude. Don't ask me. We were at the Ohio State Convention. I watched a guy puke into the fucking ice machine at the hotel, dude. So I mean, it happens, dude. Shit happens, bro.
Yeah, and people drink at libertarian events. I guess that's anathema to some people, but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I'm pretty sure I drank with Jack and his girlfriend at a libertarian event.
He could have DM'd me or tweeted at me and tagged me and said, dude, what the fuck's up with you saying that on the podcast? And I would have addressed it, and I would have addressed it publicly. And everything, but he just went into schizo meltdown mode. And I mean, it's entertaining and everything. And he made my new profile pic on Facebook and Twitter is him saying that I was like a Trump Kaczynski 2024 hat. And it was like, and I'm like, dude, I would love that.
He's
That would be
always
the
based.
greatest ticket. That would be the greatest ticket of all time. And then what does Lobster do? Lobster comes in and makes the hat.
Of course.
He's selling the hat now.
Of course he was. Of course he is. He's the man. Top Lops is the coolest dude in the world. That's why.
I'm sorry.
Literally of all time.
This is our culture. This is the Twitter culture, Jack.
It's listen, if
it's a little different than Facebook.
If somehow Uncle Ted became the vice president of this country, I will tell you these social media companies are in trouble. Big time trouble.
I generally like Jack, but I mean, I've criticized a bunch of people and everything, and I've been criticized. Jason Stapleton did 22 minutes on me a few years ago about why I didn't matter on my podcast, and boosted my downloads 750 to 1,000 downloads at that point.
You're
and
like,
everything.
Thanks, buddy.
And Jason and I recently have started talking and do a podcast together, and we were DMing last night about something. We're friends again.
Yeah, I don't know
Jack
about Jason's another one I have a problem with too. The way he comes off at me and other people, it's like, nah, dude. You know what I mean? Like, don't start. I don't like when people just automatically come up to you and like everything you're doing is wrong. You're a fucking bitch and blah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to work with anybody like that. I don't care if I agree with them on 99% of the talking points. I'm not going to work with somebody who's a dick like that. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like him. It's one of the reasons why I don't like Vin either. You know what I mean? I think Vin's right about a lot of things. I think Stapleton, to an extent, is right about a lot of things too. But anytime you come to me and you're like, everything you're doing is wrong, you're fucking wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, like, I'm just going to be like, all right, well, peace out, bro. Fuck you.
I think we can all agree that even in our communications, not amongst us, but in general on Twitter, things become lost in limited characters like that. Because I've seen where Jason and Vin can come off as abrasive on Twitter, and I know I can. I know Pete definitely can. And can you, Josh? Andrew, you're pretty sweet. But
yeah, Andrew's a sweetheart on Twitter all the time.
All of these people that I know for real, like Vin is super like kind, but behind all of that, like in DMs. And when I had Jason and Pete on together on my show, when we were done recording, Jason was like, I mean, he's one of the nicest people I've met in this scene. So I think sometimes things get lost on Twitter where, people read it a certain way. You might even be in a bad mood when you're looking at your thread or something. And you're like, what a dick this guy is. And I will just say for both of those guys, they've been nothing but kind behind the scenes in my experience.
True. Well, they could still stop being a dick to me. Okay.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I have this pedestal for Jason Stapleton. Maybe I'm hurt. Maybe I'm a little hurt, but I have this like pedestal that I keep Jason Stapleton on because he fucking just destroyed Nicholas Sarwark on his show several years ago.
So amazing.
It was
so amazing.
I mean, Dave Smith really ended Nick Sarwark's career forever, but the first man that ever really just fucking destroyed Nick Sarwark was that man, Jason Stapleton. And I watched it with my mouth wide open, just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? This was before Dave and Nick were even really on each other's radars when it came to the party. I mean, this was 2016, 2017.
It was like 2017. It was devastating. I remember sitting there watching it. I was at work watching it, and I'm just like, holy crap.
It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
There was literally times when Sarwark's jaw was hanging.
You could literally see Nick's butthole clenching through his face, dude. Like repeatedly. Like you'd see him go up straight and be like, get his little smarmy ass stupid kid look on his face, and then he'd be all upset, and then he'd start mumbling, and it was hilarious, dude. It was so funny. Jason
got to close up quite a bit for his actually to clench.
Yeah, a lot, dude, a whole lot. There's definitely a lot of air coming out of there. O'Donnell for Liberty, $5 super chat, man. Thanks. He said Universal Studios is easier to get up for than an LNC meeting a morning after a Coke binge. Well, I've never been to an LNC meeting a morning after a Coke binge, but there was the time in Austin where I showed up to the Sunday meeting in shorts, and my hair was all fucked up because I was all partying in Austin, Texas all night long, and woke up at some other hotel. And I had about 20 minutes to get to the meeting, so I hopped in an Uber and walked right into the meeting. It was pretty rough. Let's see, we got some more here. I like to try and Michael Revale, $5 super chat. If you're not drunk at a Libertarian event, you're doing it wrong. Libertarian podcast review, $5 super chat. He said, Pete, but didn't Jack create the Trump TED hat?
Well, yeah. Well, he created it. He drew it up. If you go to my Twitter account and you look at the profile pic, that was done by Jack. And I'm one of those people. It's like I'm going to lean into it when people attack me and everything. I've had people do that before, and I always make pictures like that, my profile pic.
True.
And then Lobster saw it, and Lobster, he's like, let's do, somebody commented, someone needs to make this into a real hat. And Lobster's like, hold on. And like 5 minutes later, he comes back with the link to it.
Dude, he's the man, bro. If you were in, if you were in my Discord server, you could have got the hat, at 30% discount. I'm just saying, man. Quest Fanning, $2 super chat. My version of libertarian culture is beer. Mark Metz, $5 super chat, said, be on the lookout for adventures of the Libertarian Pete as he and Mayor Buck battle through the cave of Archotropism culture, baby. Oh, I wonder if he'll put you in a comic book. Maybe that's coming, dude. You never know.
Pete would look damn good as a comic book character. You can already see the perfect goatee, and
I think the three of you guys would. You got the super genius bearded like crazy guy. Then you got like the buff, good jawed Buck. You know what I mean? Because you got that nice jawline, and then you as well. You got like the Clark Kent thing going on. You guys would be doing good, man. You'd all do good in a comic book. Let's talk about the GOP Mises Caucus. How do you? So this is a new thing to me, dude. Like I've seen it popping up quite a bit. I think I know of quite a few people involved. Is that something that you guys have worked with or talked to any of the people that are members of?
I made it.
Oh, it was you.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Why?
And well, the reason is that, hey, the anti-tax is going to take some actual lobbying work, and that cannot be done through the LP Mises Caucus. And from what I've seen of the LP is like they're not really all that interested in local politics. They want the ego trips, they want the state levels, and they want the check marks next to their name. You don't get that if you're only running for mayor or city councilman. And, it's like, again, the first people I took the anti-tax to were, Libertarian Party elites. And, well, not elites, but, very, very, very high up.
There's no one that's elite in the Libertarian Party, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I found out. Yeah. And what I found out was like, okay, this is not going to work. They're not organized, and I'm going to have to do my own thing. And the LPMC, they sound like they got a really great national strategy, and sounds like they do a little bit of localism, but they don't really lead with that. And and even if they did, they still can't do the lobbying work. So I'm just going to go off and do my own thing. And this is something a lot of other people want. They want to work within the GOP. They want to be, allied. They're okay with being allied with, people who are not also libertarians. And, they don't want to be in a party where like the rest of the party hates them. And, they don't want to be associated with all the libertinism crap. And there's a lot of people out there that are like, yeah, that's me. And I'm here to serve that market demand.
Sure. Are you guys, obviously you've seen like the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus like platform, their national strategy, that localism is actually at the very front of how they support candidates. They only support local candidates. I used to be the candidate committee chair for the caucus, so that was like my job, was to find candidates for us to support, only local candidates. We would endorse statewide candidates, but we financially would help local candidates. And they have some wins too, some really good wins of people that they supported. But are you going to be taking the GOP Mises Caucus in the same direction or what?
Yeah, I'd love to work with the LPMC guys, on the local issues. And I kind of wish you guys would lead with that. I think it's a much stronger argument than what you're talking about with the national stuff. But that's my subjective opinion. Sure. And yeah, I would love to work with you guys. And so I definitely think we're going in much the same direction. But I invited Dave Smith the other night. Hey, if you guys want to help out with the anti-tax installations, I think you'll do a lot to enhance your credibility. Because think about it, it's one thing to tell people a message that's going to go straight over their head, because like 95% of people are not ideological thinkers. And they're incentive-based thinkers. They're just non-ideological. Sure. That's evolution. They're evolved to think that way. And and you're never going to change that. So but if you want to really start changing their lives and say, hey, this message I'm preaching is what informed this anti-tax, which has given you a massive tax cut, has basically abolished taxation and will abolish not abolish but obsolete taxation for your children. That's good. They're going to take a look. They're really going to listen to that. They're like, all right, what is this Mises thing?
Sure.
We'd love to, tell us more. Like, you've changed my life. It's like, you didn't just change the way I think. You changed my life, and you really changed it from the pocketbook. I'm not trying to change hearts and minds. I'm trying to change pocketbooks.
Sure. And
it's like that. The road to people's hearts really goes straight through their wallets
and their tummies.
That's the sort.
From what I hear.
Yeah. That's my strategy, is that I'm just going to instead of like trying to persuade them to be Misesians, I'm just going to pay them to be Misesians. And it's like, I mean, look, paying people to do what you want is a universal behavior hack. This is something everybody has kind of knows. It's not quite as sexy as really changing their minds, but it'll work. It's like, everyone knows, if you want something, pay for it. If you want something done right, pay for it. It's like, otherwise all this like free shit it doesn't do it for people.
I have some tattoos that prove that, buddy.
But it's like, so if you guys would love to help out with that, I'm happy to help guide and inform those installations.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be an important kind of unity. I don't know, coalition going forward.
Yeah, I think this is a unity strategy. The anti-tax is a unity strategy, and. And again, it's like, I'm not like I don't know if you guys, who in the audience, if y'all saw the episode Pete and I did with Dave Smith. I thought it was pretty nice. You get past the first 30 minutes of letting Dave vent, and then we get to the part where we're actually talking strategy and all that. And I thought it was very cordial, very good. And I think
you got to be careful with Dave. He basically came on for my 100th episode and just hosted my show. I mean, that's really what happened, dude. You got to be careful with him. And of course, you had such a non-biased moderator in Pete, so I'm sure he wasn't biased.
I'm a Republican. Of course I'm gonna rig it against the Libertarian. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely. Buck, we got a question in the super chat, man. Here it sounds like something you might be able to answer. Josh Russo, $5 super chat. How does secession get around this social security problem? I'm just gonna say I don't think social security is a problem. Just dump that shit. But go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it. But like he mentioned that in the chat there, that people don't want to hear that. And if you're young, if you're in your, say, from 20 to 35, you should hear that, because you shouldn't be depending on something like that. But let's say if Texas secedes, my parents would be concerned about that. Sure. And those are the people that vote. And for instance, if you move to France or any foreign country, you still get your Social Security check. So that still happens. Now, I interviewed Bob Murphy recently. He's got a new ebook out called Common Sense, The Case for an Independent Texas. And he has a section specifically on this. I would recommend that. I think you can get it free on his website. I know it's on Amazon as well, but I would direct you to that resource. Obviously, Bob knows what he's talking about as far as economics goes, but that's the main example that he gave me. If you move to a different country and you've been paying in his Social Security, you still get it. And so just because Texas becomes a separate country does not mean that you would not get your Social Security payments. But however, like Josh started this question with, if you're in your 20s or 30s or maybe even early 40s, please don't count on that, because you're not going to probably get it in the end.
Yeah, I'm not counting on Social Security. There's no way it's going to be there for me.
Can I jump in on this too?
Yeah, because Pete's almost to Social Security, so let's let him talk about it.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Gosh.
I'm just kidding, Pete. We're not that much difference of age. I think
I'm almost to the point where I can get into 55 and over communities.
Are you really? See, I figured you were over. I figured you were getting
cheaper.
close to that, but I didn't. For some reason, I thought you were younger, like in your early 40s, and I don't know why.
The faces of the men in my family do not fall apart until they hit about 65.
Maybe it was Buck. I was thinking, Buck, you're around 40, right?
44.
Yeah. Okay. So,
all right. So we've been talking about the anti-tax, right? Worst comes to worse. The state, the United States doesn't want to pay the seceding country. If the anti-tax is in place,
sure,
it might be something to be able to take care of the people.
You could really, I mean, you could secede all the way down to the municipal level if you had an anti-tax in all these municipalities.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
no doubt.
Absolutely. It's Hoppus 10,000 Liechtensteins from this book right here.
What is that, democracy?
If the
It's democracy.
and hey, if the secession comes and the federal government decides that it would prefer to shoot at us, after all, and maybe the military is ready to enforce it, paying them off, might be having an anti-tax around, or a few thousand of them, that might work. Paying them off, it's a ransom fund at that point, and it's just like worst case scenario. It's like best case scenario, we just have a peaceful national divorce. Worst case scenario, we might have to pay a ransom, and God help us, we don't want to fight.
I think worst case scenario is we have to fight. I think that's the worst case scenario. As much as it, I get a little tinge of excitement every time I think about it. None of us really want to do that at the end. In the end, that's not what we want. We just want to be peacefully left the fuck alone, right? I mean, that's really, it's really all it is.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we're at the end of this thing here, the hour long course. If you guys can stick around and do a couple minutes in the members only chat, great.
Can I recommend in the members only chat? I talk about why I think this whole post-libertarianism thing happened.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Or, I mean, listen, I had Tom Woods in there debating on whether a hot dog was a sandwich or not. So we can really just talk about whatever we want in the members only chat. That's the good place to do it. And Tom Woods did say the F word in my members only stream, which was, if you really got the $5 a month, it's good to check out, dude. I swear to God, I swear on everything that I love, he dropped the F-bomb while debating whether or not.
He's done it in front of me many times.
Yeah, while he was debating whether or not the hot dog was a sandwich or not, he, in his punchline to that debate, he literally dropped the F-bomb. It was great. It was really fun to watch, dude. It got my heart beating, I was like, oh, Tom, whoa, buddy, whoa. But man, I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm a huge fan of Pete and Buck, and now also Andrew. I'll definitely be checking out your show a lot more and stuff too, man. But before we get out of this stream, where can the people follow you, support you, listen to you, all that great stuff? We'll start with Pete.
Freeman Beyond the Wall podcast. I have a Patreon, but if you go to freemanbeyondthewall.com/support, you can support right there. By any means necessary is a Substack I have, and of course the Libertarian Institute with the great Scott Horton, Sheldon Richmond, Kyle Anzalone, Keith Knight, Patrick McFarland,
some of the most base
Tommy
motherfuckers.
Salmons.
Yeah. Is Tommy Salmons over there too? That's great.
Oh, yeah.
I love that guy to death, man. I got to have him on my show, too. I really got to book something with him.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
I went on his show recently, and it was a lot of fun, man. He just got super high. We just had it was a really cool conversation, dude. Buck, where can the people find you and support you and follow you? All that great stuff.
Counterflowpodcast.com has all the social media links. It's at Buck Rebel, as you can see on this live stream on Twitter. Counterflow Podcast with Buck Johnson is the show. And we're on YouTube now, so go subscribe to the YouTube page.
You're took doing forever. Live shows, aren't you? Sometimes
doing live, but now they're all broadcast on YouTube. Every podcast episode, and then we've been doing live streams too. The infamous post-libertarian live stream was on that. So
live streams are great, man. It's my favorite.
Yeah. And Pete's teaser about what we're going to talk about is already getting me excited. So on to you, Andrew. Yeah,
Andrew, where can the people find you, listen to you, support you, all that great stuff?
If you want to, find me on Twitter at @popularliberty_. Sometimes I respond. Usually I don't. But if you want to learn more about my work, there's my channel at Popular Liberty on YouTube. If you want to read my writings, where I go into great detail about archotropism, the new praxeology that really has not been taught by this. This is the sociopathic side of Austrian economics that just has not gotten talked about. And if you want to read more about that, I have about 4,000 words written so far. I'll be coming out with another 2,000 very soon on my subscribestar.com/popular-liberty. And you can also join my Discord group there for $7 and ask me pretty much any question you want. And I will give you long answers in great detail, which I cannot do on Twitter because I have 280 characters, and I've learned better about Twitter debates.
Oh, brevity. Isn't it great? Guys, I appreciate you very much. If you guys could stick around for just a couple minutes while I close out the show, we'll get the members only going.
All righty.
Thanks. All right, guys, another awesome episode of Break Cycle. Man, I love those guys to death, dude. I don't know how anybody fights with those guys. I mean, we could argue and listen. I think that the discussion of philosophy and ideology is great. I really do. I think it's a great way to sharpen our knives and be ready for more discussions and more debates with people who might be learning. But man, they're really, regardless of what they're doing, it's allies, and we need to really start thinking about how we can all work together to fight back against this crushing fucking tyranny that we're all dealing with currently on a daily basis. And it is creeping into the states that have shielded you for the last 2 years. I know that because I live in Iowa, and it's starting to creep in here too after 2 years of thinking that we'd be safe here. So you guys better get together, man. Start working with the people that want to smash this shit. It's an important thing. Guys, if you want to come watch the members only stream right immediately following this stream, you could join the YouTube channel under all my videos by hitting join. It's like $6 a month or $5 a month. You get some other perks too, obviously, hand-drawn custom emojis for the live chat. So if you're checking out live shows, it's a cool place to be. Top Lobster drew them. You also get a cool badge next to your name that changes colors depending on how long you've been a member. So all good stuff. Or you can join the Patreon and subscribe star. Both of those are / Break the Cycle JS. And you can get these uploaded at least hopefully the next day. I'm almost all caught up on all the episodes I need to upload there. Like I said, we had a lot of stuff going on with the family and sickness and Disney World, and I'm getting caught up on some things, and we're getting back into the swing of doing the show consistently every night. So we will be back by Monday. Everything should be rolling the way it was prior to me going on 8-day vacation with 7 kids. So, but of course, go check out my sponsors, toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great Break the Cycle synthwave dark camo hoodie that I'm wearing tonight by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount, or join all those things I told you to join, and you will get in that Discord server where you get all of his gear up to 2 weeks prior to it going to the general public at like a 30% discount. So really, it makes a huge difference. And if you're a member of the YouTube channel and you're not yet in the Discord server, please email me at joshua.breakthecycle@gmail.com, and I'll make sure that I get you into the Discord server. Just show me proof that you become a member on the channel. I'll get you into the Discord server. I want all you guys in that community. It's a really, really great community, man. And of course, check out executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at, much cheaper and much more efficiently. Thanks to Alex T for becoming a new member of the YouTube channel. I appreciate you. I'm stoked to have you in our members only chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go do that next Monday. Starting the show back up 5 nights a week is going to be my good friend and partner, Top Lobster, going to be back on the show. We have a lot to talk about. We'll be talking about these mandates for the jobs and stuff, and why, he moved to Florida recently from New York. I'm starting to get hit with some of these mandates here in Iowa through my job. So we got a lot to vent about. It's going to be a fun show. I'll see you then if I don't see you in the members only chat. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just landed in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just landed in Minecraft. Well, Chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just landed in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse. In Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No product theaters, getting close to COVID.